Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another lesson with me, Mr. Anderson. Today, we will be doing algorithms. Okay, let me share my screen with you and we'll begin in 1 minute. Let's see, share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, so the topic for today is algorithms. Remember how we did in our previous lessons, we did IPO charts, we did the steps to problem solving. Now we're just gonna build on to our problem solving experience, okay? So today we are gonna do algorithms. The objectives for today, we're gonna define the algorithm, explain the concept of algorithms, design an algorithm to solve simple problems, and represent algorithms in the form of a pseudocode. Okay, so in our previous lesson, when we did IPO charts, remember how we structured the table into 3 columns, I, P, and O. For an algorithm, we simply get rid of that table and we put it in, let's say, using English words. Okay, there are various keywords we can use in algorithms. So we're gonna move away from the table and we're gonna be doing algorithms. Okay, to start off, let's use the steps how to make a banana strawberry smoothie. Okay, remember, to solve any problem, there are inputs, processing must happen, and there are outputs. Right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
So we're gonna go through the steps to make a banana strawberry smoothie. Okay. So the first step you would do is to get your fresh bananas, strawberry. You will need ice, protein powder, and you will need a blender. So all these will be our inputs. Okay. We're gonna need all these ingredients to arrive at our banana strawberry smoothie. Next step, we'll pour the bananas, the strawberries, and the ice carefully into a blender. So right away, that's our processing. Okay, we're starting to mix everything together. So that's processing. Then we blend the ingredients for 2 minutes on a slow speed. And then on a medium speed for another 2 minutes. Okay, that's also processing. Again, we blend in, we mix in the ingredients together. After we blend our ingredients, we get our smoothie we can enjoy. So you pour your smoothie into a glass and enjoy. So this will be our solution. This is our output, and we can have our glass of banana strawberry smoothie. Okay, so all the different steps, okay, whether it's input, processing, and output. Remember again, from IPO charts, we simply take it out of the table and we write it down in the algorithm form. Okay, so this is what algorithms is all about. All right, so what is an algorithm? An algorithm is a set of logical and sequence instructions used to solve a problem. Okay, so it must follow a logical sequence. For example, if you want to find the average of 3 numbers, what must you do first? Anyone? If you want to find the average of 3 numbers, you cannot just find the average right away. You have to find something first. So what do you need to do first? Yes, Christina.
you must add the 3 numbers.
Right. So you must add the 3 numbers first. Okay. And that's proper logical sequencing. Okay. So for our algorithms, we're going to be using what we call pseudocode. And pseudocode is just a way of representing the algorithm using the English language, numbers, and special characters. Okay, now in algorithms, we use certain keywords. All right, so what you know previously, input, processing, and output. To structure an algorithm or pseudocode, we use certain keywords together with our instructions. Okay, so let's look at the elements of pseudocode algorithm. So start, this indicates the start of the solution. You must begin your solution somewhere, and when you're writing your pseudocode, you must put in that start element. Next, we have read, input, and accept. These are used for entering and storing data into variables. You can use either one of them, read, input, accept, it's up to you. They all do the same thing. For processing deals with calculations and decision-making instructions. Next, we have output, display, and print. And as you can see, this gives us the results of the processing. Again, you can use any one you would like, output, print, or display. And lastly, you must end your solution. Okay? Everybody following? Any questions?
Crystal clear.
All right, let's move on. Okay, so we look at the characteristics of an algorithm. An algorithm must have a limited number of steps to be performed. Okay, it cannot be infinite. It must have a limited number of steps. Next, the statements must be precise. Okay, the statements used are ambiguous. Next, the instructions must be followed in a logical sequence, and we mentioned that earlier. Your instructions, your algorithm must follow a logical sequence. And lastly, we must terminate our algorithm. We must end the algorithm. It must come to an end. Okay, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Let's look at an example. Our first example, we want to design an algorithm to calculate and display the sum of two numbers. Okay, now remember the steps of problem solving. Okay, you now have to apply that to arrive at your solution. Okay, so we know we must start our algorithm, the start of the pseudocode. Okay, and like I said, we see certain keywords which use in the English language. All right, it's not necessarily a programming language. Okay. Our next step, we know we need to find the sum of two numbers. All right. One good thing about problem solving is that we must give our users some instructions. Don't leave the users guessing what to do. Okay. So our problem is to display the sum of two numbers, and we know we need two numbers. We need to get two numbers from the user. Give the user instruction, tell the user, enter two numbers. And this second line here says display, enter two numbers. So this is output. The user would see that on the screen. Okay, it's an instruction. Okay, our next step, we want to get what value will be stored in number one. Okay, so we put input number one. Okay, and that's how the data has been entered into the program. Next, we want number two, it will be input number two. After we figure out how many, what inputs we need, okay, we must then determine our processing. Okay, how are we going to process that data entered? And we know the problem is asking us to find the sum of two numbers. Okay, so we must use a formula to find the sum of two numbers, and the operation we use is addition. So as you can see here, I have a formula. Sum is a variable. Okay, it's not a keyword like input and display, it's a variable. So you create that variable. Okay, if I wanted, I could put answer, I could have put results. Okay, but it must be clear. It must be clear so anybody reading your algorithm can understand what you have in your algorithm. So I have sum equals number one plus number two, and that's processing. Next, we want to display what will be stored in the variable sum, and that's our output. Okay, everyone. So this is how we structure, this is how we use a pseudocode to solve a problem. And our last step, we can't forget that, we must end our solution. Okay? So this is the pseudocode algorithm to calculate and display the sum of two numbers. Okay, let's do this one together. Example 2, design an algorithm to calculate and display the product of three numbers. What would be our first step?
Start the pseudocode.
Right. We want to start. So this will be our first line. Very good. So we start. What will be our next step?
Display the three numbers.
You want to display. Remember, we want to ask the user to enter three numbers. Okay? So display, enter three numbers. Very good. Okay, so we give the user an instruction so they know what to do. What's next?
You would input number 1, then input 2.
All right, very good. So you want to enter your three numbers, you use input number 1, input number 2, and input number 3. Our next step now.
Products. We name our variable. Since we find in the product, we could call it product.
Yes, we can call it
Or
product.
as you said, we could say result or answer. So I will choose product equals number 1 multiplied by number 2 multiplied by number 3.
Very good. Okay, so we use the variable called product, and we use the formula number 1 times number 2 times number 3. Okay, so our next step now.
To display the product.
Right, we're going to display the product. Okay, whatever is stored, that will be stored in the variable product. We want to now display it. Okay, and like I said, you can use some the other keywords. You could have used print, you could have used output. They all mean the same thing. And lastly, we're going to
And
all right, very good. We must end our pseudocode. Okay, everyone. Now remember, where anytime we use a variable name, we must use the exact name throughout our algorithm. We cannot change it. So if you add number 1, we cannot use num1 or n1. We must use the same variable name, and that's important. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
yes, sir.
So I'm going to give you to try one on your own. You can type your solution in the chat. You can type it into Microsoft Word. All right. And I'm going to give you 4 minutes to work on that, to come up with your solution to that problem. Okay, everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to work on that. You finished, Christina?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. We would like to share what you have for the rest of the class and simply explain your steps as you go along. Let me stop sharing. So
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm unable to share, sir.
You can share. Okay.
No, I can't.
So let me
Can
just.
I try sharing?
Yes, you can try.
Oh, it
right.
says the host disabled the participant screen sharing. So I think it's on your end.
Okay, it's now enabled. You can try again.
Christina, are you going to try or? Pardon?
Can hear you.
You could go ahead, I'll go after you.
Okay, no problem.
All right, good.
Can everybody see my screen? Let me maximize.
It's still loading.
It's still loading.
Right, we see it now.
Okay, so I have start. So we must begin our pseudocode, our algorithm.
Yes.
And it's followed by a prompt, prompting the user to enter 3 numbers. So I have display, please enter 3 numbers. So this is the message the user will see, and they will enter the numbers. Followed by, I chose a variable num. Sorry for the background noise. The variable num1, num2, num3 to represent the 3 numbers. So I'm going to read, the program will read these 3 numbers, and then we're going to find the average. So I use the variable name average equals, of course, we must add the 3 numbers, and then we divide by the total number of numbers. And then I will print the average and end.
Okay, very good. All right, now it's important to use BODMAS in your calculations. In this case, for average, we want to find the sum first. So we must utilize BODMAS in our calculation. Very good.
I'm going to stop sharing so somebody.
Yes, go ahead. One more person would like to share the solution.
Yes, I can share.
All right.
For some reason, I'm unable to share. Can I share it in the chat?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I started my pseudocode with start, of course, and then I had a prompt for the user. It says read, and the prompt is please enter 3 numbers. Then they would input I called my variable num1, 2, and num3. So they input num1, input num2, num3. I broke down my steps. So I found the sum first of the 3 numbers. So I have sum equals num1 plus num2 plus num3. And then I found the average, which would be average equals sum divided by. And then I display the average and then end.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we see that your solution is slightly different where you broke down the average, you found the sum, you had a variable called sum, you calculate the sum and then the average. Very good. Okay, guys, so today, we know we must always apply the step of problem solving when designing an algorithm or pseudocode. Okay, we must follow the steps in problem solving. Again, we must break down our problem into the inputs, what we need to enter into for our algorithm, what will be the processing, what calculations or decision making that must happen, and our output for our pseudocode. Okay, we know that our algorithm or pseudocode must begin with start and it must finish with an end instruction. Okay, and we know we can use certain keywords such as read, print, or output throughout our pseudocode algorithm. Okay, everyone, and this is the end of class. Okay, I'm looking forward to see you all in my next class, and hope everyone have a very good afternoon. Okay, thanks for coming, and I will see you all later on. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.